Good afternoon, all. So my topic is today I'm going to talk about on the topic construction process, AECO industry, then construction management. So you may heard about the word construction. So when you think about the construction, like you might have think like this: construction of a residential building, then construction of a hospital or construction of a school, etc. But this construction is not exclusive for such kind of civil construction work. This construction is a general term that having a meaning of forming any object, creating any system, or creating organization like that. And this construction is actually a most widely used context. In this construction, we will cover the different processes we will cover in that, involving the delivering the buildings, infrastructure, some industrial facilities, and the associated activities. So, as an industry, this construction industry is contributing to the world GDP. So, in the whole world, the construction industry is contributing in the year of 2018. The it has contributed 10 trillion US dollars, and it is about 13 percentage of the world GDP. And in the recent surveys, in its reports, it is suggesting that it will be increased to an amount of like 14 trillion dollars in the year of 2025. So we can see the gradual improvement here in the field of construction industry. And as an industry, the construction is accounts more than 10 percentage of the global GDP, and in the developed countries, it is actually 6 to 9 percentage, and it also employs around 77 percentage of the global workforce, or around 273 million people. And 1% in the past 2 decades, we can say that the 1%, the report saying that 1% annual productivity growth is there in the advanced economies like US, and 2.8% growth is there in the world economy, and the 3.6% is contributing in the manufacturing, and more than of half percentage, more than 50% of the like potential for sector improvement is also there. Sector productivity improvement is there. So, as a whole, when comparing uh, all the construction works, we can classify the construction industry into three categories. The first one is building construction, the second is infrastructure engineering, and the third is industrial construction. In the building, under this building construction, the most common kind of construction that is residential and most familiar, it will be the most familiar one for you, the residential construction. And second one is non-residential construction. In the residential construction, it involves like all the houses or the buildings which are meant for the residential purpose. And for the non-residential building, it will be procured. The non-residential will not building will not have the will not be having the residential purpose, and the it will be procured by the private organizations, or in some time it can also be procured by the government organizations. And next is infrastructure. Infrastructure means the heavy civil engineering works. For example, a large public works, dams, bridges, highways, railways, water systems, wastewater systems, and utility distribution. When it comes to the industrial construction, mainly the offshore construction, example, power generation plant, mills, manufacturing plant, mining and quarrying, etc. So let's look deep into the residential construction. This residential construction, like when I'm talking about this residential construction, you can imagine a house that is building nearby you, or you are on. Consider that you are going to construct a house for you. So for your construction, like it will have different process in that, and the owner, like it will be undertaken by the landowner. If you are going to construct a house, then you will be the landowner, then you will be the individual going to undertaken that project. Okay, so in that, in some cases the individual can create a plan for their building compared to the sizes of the house. If it is a house, small size of building, then you can also plan for the plan of that building. Or we can also consult for different house builders near to you, or any best property developers, or any general contractors, etc. And also we can go for some by like providers of public or social housing. And when you think about this residential construction, do you think that in US, the building, like the residential building there, are constructed using the material timber or wood? And in the India, we are constructing a residential building using the material like brick or concrete block, isn't it? So why this variation in difference in the material is happening there in these two countries? Have you think about that? So this is due to the, this can be affected by different material, different things, and the major thing is the availability of the material. If brick is readily available near to our location, then we can go look, like we will most probably, for example, some of you, like near to you, if the brick is readily available there, then definitely you will go for that, right? And have you heard about a house, a small residential building built in a total worth of 5 lakh? It is completed in a project total cost of 5 lakh. And in a similar project, if you are comparing that unique project to all the other projects in our, in this current scenario, like the project that the similar project to that project will have a total cost of 20 lakh. Okay, so how they are achieving, how they can build that building in a 5 lakh total cost? So that means I'm coming to say that the cost of the building will also will dramatically vary according to different condition. It can be vary based on site condition, access routes, local regulations, then rate of material, then availability of labor charges, etc. And while constructing the building, do you think about getting the permission from the municipal authorities? For example, if you are constructing a house in Kerala, you will have to get the municipal permission. You will the municipal permission. For example, like this, the Kerala municipal building codes we are having. We have to construct our building according to that. Then only when you are reaching the municipality and asking for the permission, granting permission, if you are conforming all the rules and regulation in your plan, then only you will get the you will then only they will grant permission for building that or constructing that. So I hope you have idea on this. So next is non-residential construction. So In the non-residential construction, depending upon the type of building, this non-residential construction can be procured by a wide range of private or public organization, including some local authorities, educational, religious bodies, or any kind of transport undertakings, retailers, property developers, etc. And such kind of construction is complex when compared to the normal residential building, and this actually this requires for these kind of construction we require a general contractor, and under that general contractor there will be some subcontractor, and this subcontractor will be managed by the general contractor. And I would like to share a video for you which will describe you about the residential construction, non-residential construction. Are you able to see the screen of video? Uh,
Yes, Moses.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you might get ideas of different processes there in a non-residential construction. So next is infrastructure and construction. So infrastructure construction means the construction, for example, the construction of road, bridges, canals, dam, tunnel, airports, and so on. For this kind of infrastructure construction, it will take a lot of time, a lot of days, like some years it can take to complete, and it is different with the residential and non-residential construction. When comparing with those, it became more complex than the previous one. And for when finding the contractors for doing this job, we should find the expertise in this kind of works. Expertise means not the huge, like the one should have expertise in the work of, if you are consider that you are going to construct a dam. So while constructing a dam, you should call for a contractor who will be expert, who is very expertise in the field of constructing the dam. Okay, not in the field of constructing tunnels. So that thing is very important in this, and also safety measures should be taken while constructing while constructing the infrastructure works. Next is industrial construction. As the name suggests that industrial construction is the kind of construction, the construction that we are doing for the industrial purpose. Mostly offshore construction, like wind power construction, plant construction, then mining, quarrying, refineries, and so on. So, do you think that the construction process, from the starting planning to the end of the project, the construction process, do you think that the construction process of the mining is similar to the construction process of a warehouse? Do you think so? Okay. If you think so, like I'm asking a question
Hello?
for you. Asking a question for you. Do you think that the process of construction
Hello?
in the refinery, like in the, excuse me, Shibin, are you asking anything? Okay. Shibin, please mute. Okay. So I'm going to ask a question for you. Uh, as the answer, you can put the answer in the chat. Do you think that the construction process of a, like construction process of a like mining is similar to the, is same as the warehouse? Do you think so? You can put it in the chat right now. Okay, so more than 12 people said that. No, very good. The answer is correct. So it's very, it is having from the starting to the end, from the planning to hand, like the last process, last step, it is having very much difference in that. So thus, so I think now we can imagine the complexity from the normal small construction to this industrial construction. Now I think you get the idea of the complexity it is having in the industrial construction, isn't it? Then what are the construction process there? There are different in the, for completing the construction there is different processes there, like planning, the second one is financing, design and documentation, construction, so on. In the planning stage, for explaining these steps, I would like to tell you about a very familiar and popular uh, project. Like you may have heard about the Lulu Mall. Lulu Mall is now it is constructing in the Trivandrum. It is in the construction stage. So when taking it, I'm going to take it as an example. So in the planning stage, they will have think about the Lulu group have think about what they are going to build. Okay, so they will decide that mostly they will they will create the shopping malls. Then where they are going to build that? So in the first time, they are actually trying to build in another place. Now they are constructing that in the like place called as Aculum in Trivandrum. In the initial stage, it was the place was not there. It was actually Pattam near to like another place in Trivandrum. But then they have they have rethink for another place. Then they get another like some more place. They get like more area they get in the Aklam. So then they have changed the idea for building that in the Aklam place. Then these things are including in the planning stage. Then they will think about the budget. Initially they have given they have think that they can arrange a budget of 500 plus crores. Then they when they move that to Aklam, they have think about constructing a large project, like a large one in India, a large shopping mall in India. Then they have changed the budget from 500 crores to 2000 plus crores. So these things they are doing in the planning stage. And next stage is financing. And also one more thing, in the planning stage, they have to decide the the starting date of the project. In the Lulu Mall, they have decided that they will start constructing in the year of 2016, and they have started in the year of 2016. And the ending date also they have mentioned the ending date also earlier in the planning stage, also in the planning stage itself, and it was in the year of 2019 in the month of September. But unfortunately they couldn't complete in that in 2019. It's still in its construction work. So it's due to some drawbacks in the traditional construction system. So that also we can overcome due to by the advanced technologies. So you will be you can understand from the in the coming days you will get the idea from that. uh, in the coming days you will get the idea. So next is financing. In the financing period, they can think about the how much they can go for, like they have already set the money they want, the like the cost like the money they want for creating the building. So with that budget amount, how they will go to arrange the amount. So in the most of the project, if you may think that if we know that if it is a government project, like for example Cochin Metro is a government project. But even if it is a government project, the another party need to like give loan for completing that project. Have you heard about that? The who will contribute for the Cochin Metro project? They have also taken GACA loan. JCA loan, they have taken about 2,170 crore. They have taken as a loan. Also, they are having they are also having like from the government of India and from the Kerala have also invested in the metro project. But after that, also they will have to take loan from another loan giving organization. So these things are carrying out in the financing part. If it is a small construction or for a non-residential building, we can call for any accountant and we can set the financing part by them. And at the design, next one is design and documentation. In the design and documentation part, we can create the building plans. We can from by gathering ideas from the client, using by using the architect and designers, we can go for creating the building plan. And we can finalize some plan, and that those plan also should be created according to the rules and regulations. Then they can go for documenting that. So that part is there in the design and documentation. In the construction process, that is the next step. Construction process is a long step while comparing with others. Those process will also take a lot of time, lot of days it can take for planning, financing, designing. But the construction, when comparing to these, the construction takes a lot of time. In the construction process, it needs the like procurement of materials, then assigning labors, assigning different like engineers, designers, etc. These things are there in the construction process, and this will be managed by a, if it is a big project, it can be managed by a construction manager. Then comes the stage of commissioning. So in the commissioning part, we are doing the testing. Like after completing the project, we have to test our product, we have to test our project, while like for example, if it is meeting all its requirements. For example, in the construction of a bridges, in the construction of bridges nowadays in Kerala, we have to put the we have to during the construction stage, we will confirm that this can like hold up to this much of load. But we should ensure that before handing over the project, after completing, before handing over to the client, we should ensure that this is meeting all its requirement. So for confirming that, in the commissioning part, we can put the equal amount of load there in the bridge, and we can test the, like we can test its operation, we can test its functionality. So that is coming under the commissioning part. And next step is, I'm only telling about have introduced I have only give you an example, so you can think about the commissioning happening in different kind of projects, in residential, non-residential, and other. Then comes the repair and maintenance work. Like we know that for a non-residential building, for a shopping mall, etc., like we will have the pipeline works, we will have the air conditioning work, we will have fire and safety work we will have. So these kind of work will require a continuous maintenance, it require. So such kind of works, for its maintenance, like it needs a continuous maintenance. Those maintenance part will be come in the process of repair and maintenance work. Then next is the expand, extend, and improve the asset. That's the next step. uh, like for a engineering institute, like for example CET, like a Trivandrum Engineering College, let's take it as an example. In the initial period of the Trivandrum Engineering College, there were only one or two building. But after when the like years go, like the number of building, or the, and also the number of departments in the Trivandrum Engineering College has increased. That means we can expand our construction. Whenever we need, we can expand the construction, and if we need to extend our construction, we can do that. And if we want to improve our asset, also that also possible. And that is the next stage. Next is eventual demolition. Like in Kerala, in Ernakulam, like maybe you will heard about the mirror flat demolition of that. So that step, if needed, the demolition part also will come under the construction process. So if it is a small project, the owner itself can act as a designer, paymaster, and also the labor for the total entire project. And if it becomes, the project become complex, and if you need any kind of custom design house or custom design projects, then it will need a multidisciplinary expertise. Multidisciplinary expertise means we are having different disciplines like engineering, architecture, mechanical, electrical, etc. So if it is a complex building, we will need the play role of all multidisciplinary expertise, and all multidisciplinary different disciplinary manpower we need. For example, designer, contractor, construction manager. There are other professionals are also there, quality manager, etc. And they are also having a different role by their own. And next, for delivering such kind of project, while starting a project in the initial period of the project, we can decide about which project delivery method we are choosing. There are a lot of project delivery methods are there. In India, we can see these two construction method, project not construction method, project delivery method is commonly using, like design bid method and design build method. What is not? Do you know any other project delivery method? Do you know? Can you put that in the chat? Do you know any other kind of project delivery method? Okay, can you put that in the chat? Okay, can you? Okay. So this project delivery method will be will like this term you will not be familiar with this. So we can deliver our project. In its planning stage, we can think that which delivery method we are going to choose. Like if it is the design bid method is actually a common and well established method of construction procurement. In this arrangement, the architect, engineer, or any or builder, they will act as they can act for the client as the project coordinator. They will act as, and they will design the work, they will prepare the specification, and they will deliver the designs. For example, in the mode of models, or as drawings, they will deliver the models. And if there is any tender in their work, they can also go for tender work also. Then they can manage the tender, and they can in the from the starting to the completion, like they can manage that. And like maybe this word tender, some of you may not heard about the word tender. Tender means like before the construction, for getting the construct like for getting a contractor, we can call for, or we can publish a tender through newspapers or through any advertising purpose, way you can like you can publish your tender. For example, in the Cochin Metro Rail, they have published their tender in an electronic tender method, like they have published it. So after publishing that, many contractor will approach us, and from that, when comparing the rate they are giving for your project, and and by assessing different things, we can set a best contractor for our project. So that method is called as tender. That is called as tendering the work. And in the design bid method, we can come to the design bid method. In the design bid method, after these works, this coordinator, the who is the engineer or architect who is working at the coordinator for the client, can also will also have the relationship between the subcontractor, and also they will have a relationship between the client. So this is the arrangement in the design bid method, and it will continue until the project is ready for handover. And in the design build method, this is actually a method which is may become more common in the late 20th century. And in this method, we will in the initial period they will create a contract. In that contract, it will be based on a contract. In that contract, they will they will completely give their project for a contract in the initial stage. They will not, the client will not go for a project they will not go for an engineer, or the client will not go for an architect. They will completely give this project to a contractor. So that contractor, in a fixed price, price for the total project, they will give the project to a contractor. That is happening in the design build method. And all other things like tender work, then planning, the drawing creation, everything like up to the handovering the project, up to that everything will be like doing by the that contractor. So that is happening in the design build method. So uh, like uh, like in a construction project, there is people like unskilled persons are there, like semi skilled worker or laborers are there, and also skilled trade person will be there, then professionals will be there having technical professionals will be there, and also managerial professionals will be there. And in the when coming to the skilled trade persons, we can like we can call carpenters, electricians, plumbers, as and so on, as the skilled trade person. And when it comes to the professional one, those are architects, civil engineers, then building service engineer, project manager, etc. Then AECU industry. Have you heard about this AECU industry? What is AECU stand for? If you have heard about AECU industry, uh, can you give me the answer for what is AECU industry stand for? Please put that in the chat. I will give you 1 minute for that. Can you guess the full form of AECU industry? AECU. Okay. Most of you are correct. The answer is architecture, engineering, construction, and operation industry. So in the previous slide, we have looked into the construction process or construction industry. So what is the difference between the construction industry and AECU industry? Do you think there is any difference between construction industry and AECU industry? That is also another question. You can give me answer in the chat. One more time, I will ask you that. Do you think there is any difference between construction industry and AECU industry? Yeah, yes, you are right. There is difference between AECU industry and the construction industry. When it comes to the Aeco industry, like when in the like in the AECU in the Aeco industry, actually the advanced technologies is incorporating in this, but that is not happening in the construction industry. So that is the major difference. And in this construction, like eco industry, it will provide different services in the architecture sector, in the engineering sector, in the construction sector, and in the operations sector. It will give you different services. And then when it comes to the eco industry, like we can like all the players, all the like all the stakeholders in different industry, in architecture, engineering, construction, and operation are actually working together. They can work this their work can we can they can work together for a common goal. So thus we can make this more like efficient than the other traditional like other like than the construction industry. The first one is architecture. So the architect in architecture industry, the architect are the one who is designing the concept for our construction. The first our client will have an idea in their own mind, and they will convey their idea to the architect, and the architect also propose some different ideas by their own. With these ideas, the architect will try to create the concept by the drawing, and by models they can express their ideas, and it should have visual aesthetics, and that is very important in their work. But if you do you think that if a building is created with the maximum aesthetics in that, it is looking very, it is having aesthetically pleasing, but it is functionally, it is not good. So, do you think that that become workable? Do you think that that is also another question? Can you give me the answer? Yeah, obviously no. So we should also look into the functionality also for the building. So if the building want to, or like if you want to make meet the functionality of the building, we should have follow some of the rules we should have. Like we will have the some rules and regulations we will have. We should meet all these rules and regulation for making our building functionally, like for functionally capable. So that thing also in the hand of architects, they are also having a role in taking care of these kind of rules and regulations. And at the end of the up to the end of the project, they are having a role of like inspecting whether this is happening in all the construction processes, in construction stage, in other processes also, and analyzing, etc. So in the eco industry, first letter is meant for architecture. So architect is having a very complex role in the construction process from its inception to the end. So their responsibilities are like this. They have to meet the they have to understand all the requirement of their client. They have to get the idea from the client, and with the idea they can create they can create the drawing for the client. Also they can create also model for pleasing the client. Then they can also work in the quantifying and qualifying the project in terms of budget, site characteristics, and also regulations. And then they can develop a sequence of operation. Then they after that they can keep records for daily progress. Then they can manage the bidding process when contract is bid on a job. Then they can clarify the details for the engineer or construction team, like they are creating the conceptual drawing, right? So they will have the idea of their plan. So when it comes to the process of engineering and construction team, they may have the different doubts in the plan. So these doubts in the drawing plans, or if there is any problem in the drawing plan, if there is any uh, like uh, there if there is any risk that can happen if they are following this plan, these kind of problem they will tell this to the architect. So at the this time also, they are having the architect are having roles for for clearing their doubts. And they also have to certify that, and they also have to certify that whether the project is completing in the prescribed manner from the starting to the end of the project. So these are the roles of the architects, and also responsibilities of the architect. So What would be your reaction if someone told you that architects are worked in the Bahubali film? Would you believe that? What would be your reaction? Can you give me a reaction in the chat? I will give you 1 second. Sorry, 1 minute. So the most of the answer was yes, and it is correct. So in the Bahubali film, the architect had the role. They have worked in that. So can you see this? Some of the job roles in the architect. So most you like maybe some of you have joined in the engineering or architecture field due to some pressure from the parents. Those people, for those who have joined into this engineering or architecture field due to pressure from the parents, I'm going to show that you are also having different field you can work with. If you are having graduation, if you are having graduation in architecture or engineering, you can also work with these different for different role as a different roles in different industry you can work with. Have you ever imagined that in a video game designing an architect work for, or in the teaching profession an architect can work for, in graphic designing as an architect also an architect as an artist an architect can work for. So there are different job roles architects can work for. It's not limited to a single job profession. So you can see these job roles here, different job roles here. This is not a comprehensive list. You can also Google for different job opportunities you will get after completing this architecture. Next is engineering. In Aeco industry, the next is engineering in that. So the engineers are the people who are overseeing the construction, its maintenance projects such as large buildings like a road, bridges, dams, its services, its utility supply facilities, etc. So in the engineering process, we can include like civil engineer is there, mechanical engineer is there, electrical engineer is there, even computer and IT engineers can also work in the engineering field in the eco industry. This is so in the engineering, uh, like after creating the conceptual drawing, they have to conduct the engineers have to conduct the studies, feasibility studies, and also the site test inspections. They have to analyze the building or analyze the they have to analyze the project and should or optimize the constructability and durability of the project according to the like the project they the architect have created according to their concept. Then they can develop the project budget like during different process. Then they can coordinate the resources, material, labor, managers, subcontractors, etc. They can coordinate that. Then they can include this will include employee, equipment, and building materials. Then they can oversee the project's progress and safety of the construction sites. Then they can ensure the whether there is like compliance with the government rules and regulations. Then also they can act as a link between these client and the client and the professional subcontractors. Then these slides give you an idea of different job roles in civil engineering. After completing civil engineering, if you have required knowledge for getting these job professional, you can get into different job profiles like design engineer, CAD technician, building control survey, then quantity surveyor, urban designer. This is also not a comprehensive list. You can go to Google for other job profiles also. Next is job roles in the mechanical engineering. Maybe if you are freshers, like you may have think about like there is also equal importance for the mechanical engineers in the Aeco industry, as same as the civil engineers. Imagine that, assume that you are going to a shopping mall. Consider that you are going to a shopping mall, and when you enter into that shopping mall is not having a facility of light. There is no lightning facilities there. There is no AC there. Air conditioning is not there. There is no lift there. You have to use the step. Then there is, yeah. If this is the condition, once you enter into the shopping mall, if you do you think for once again going into that shopping mall? Do you think about do you think about once again going there? If you are not if that shopping mall is not having air conditioning, if it is not having uh, like things like escalator, lift, etc., do you think so? Okay, never. Right. Most of you will go the shopping mall for spending some time there. So we need these kind of things there, right? So actually these things are doing by the mechanical engineers, and this is actually making creating giving life to that building, isn't it? So there are the like role of mechanical engineer comes, and now I hope we can imagine how much importance we are like the mechanical engineers are having in the eco industry. So these are the job roles. The mechanical engineers can go for MEP HVAC designer, MEP HVAC project engineer, and so on. And also we know that there is different in different things we need the electrical engineers also. They are also having the same role as mechanical and civil. Like they can go to the roles like MEP design engineer, then MEP project engineer, MEP electrical fabricator, and so on. Next is in Aeco, next is construction. In the construction process, like the construction manager, maybe if it is a large project, there will be construction manager. In the process of construction, the construction manager can decide the like they can arrange the material for construction. They can set different subcontractors for their project. They can set the labors, etc., for the project in the process of construction. And yeah, and these things can coordinated by the construction manager. Next is what are the process there in the construction? What are the different construction process? So there, the key construction processes are project management, then fabrication, logistic management, etc. When it comes to the project management, we can see there is scheduling is there, then planning is there. In the stage of scheduling, we can in the initial period we can schedule the construction project, like we can in the it can it will be include the process of listing different activities, listing different tasks, then the milestone different like the milestone they have to complete, they can achieve, and the start date of the project, the finishing date of the project. These are the things we are setting in the schedule period. And the importance of scheduling, we cannot we cannot neglect in a project that is having a crucial role in the project success. And next is planning. And when it comes to fabrication, fabrication is meant for fabricating different elements needed for the construction, for example, window, doors, step, etc. And the logistic in the logistic management, like the materials we can in the logistic management, it includes the process of planning, implementing, and controlling the supply chain resources, like the raw materials, etc. And next, the site or field management, then quality management. The like we can manage the quality of the different elements in the using in the building construction. We can manage the quality of the material. Then we can go for commissioning, and last we can hand over the building. So in the construction, in the Aeco industry, the construction in the construction process, they will work with in the construction process. The architect and engineer will will work for creating the plan. They will establish some timetables, and they can determine the cost by estimating, etc. And they can hire and managing the subcontractor or employees, and they can ensure whether their work is going up to the code, and they can distribute the required there is like they can distribute the required resources. And in the operation, like the operation and maintenance is we should take it into consideration very seriously, because it is very critical for some sustainability measures and also for the better customer experience. So from lean construction, like I would like to invite Amal.
Okay, good afternoon, all. So now you might be familiar with this Aeco industry and the process and everything related to that. But even with those advanced technologies with hand, still there are having a lot of drawbacks. Like when you complete the project, it will not meet with the requirements that the client would have mentioned at the starting, or sometimes your project will go overboard on budget, or sometimes overboard on time or something. So these kind of issues regularly happen due to several reasons. It might be due to lack of resources, or sometimes maybe due to lack of availability of manpower or required equipments or something. So generally, uh, when there are activities which are not adding values to our projects, so these kind of issues happen. So in order to eliminate the issues in the traditional or even in the eco industry, the currently this lean construction is being introduced. Okay, so before directly going into the lean construction, let's just take a quick glance at the history of lean. So speaking about the history of lean, we couldn't avoid the impact of Toyota in it. Okay, as you all may know, Toyota is a leading giant in the automobile industry. So let me ask you a question. So, do you have any idea regarding the first product of Toyota? You can give your response on the chat box. So, okay, so okay, so the first product of Toyota was actually a loom. Okay, wooden loom. Um, it's for making clothes. The product that they initially created was a wooden loom, which made to create uh, clothes. So they were standing there before entering into this automobile industry. So it was Kijiro Toyota who started this Toyota Motor Company. He was initially um, what do you say, managing the Toyota Spinning and Weaving Company. Later in 1936, he started the Toyota Motor Company. It was only after that Toyota created the uh, automobiles. So the problem they faced there was, like in the next slide, you can see that this was the scenario in Japan after World War. There were not much resources available or left in that country, and even there were no person for providing any sort of investment for starting a manufacturing company as like a automobile manufacturing companies. And even the markets were very short, like people couldn't afford to pay a large amount for cars. So these were the criteria they had in mind while starting the Toyota Motor Company. So it was an idea of Taichi Ohno which revolutionized the management principles. So he actually found the principle of Toyota production system, which is the base for the lean manufacturing or simply the lean principle. Here, what they did was they actually removed all those processes which does not add any value to their final product, and also they try to minimize waste as much as possible. So in order to do that, they didn't actually produce several cars a year. They only produce as per the requirement. It's also called as just-in-time production. Anyway, so their major concern was to reduce waste and to avoid the non-value-added services. So this is actually the concept of lean construction also. Here also, what we are focusing is we will be focusing on reducing the waste. Obviously, you guys might be familiar, right? After completion of the construction, there might be several wastage of materials. Even some persons would be working for a particular thing, but at last it will not make any sense. So that working hour of that particular person is also considered. It also has to be considered as waste. So basically, by reducing these waste, we will be able to increase the productivity. Okay, and the final value of the project as well as the quality also can be maintained in a good manner. So that's why lean construction is currently taking in place. So I guess many of you might be new to this concept, but this is you have to be aware of the markets right now because it's currently an emerging technology and it is uh, like for the current graduates, it's essential that you know these concepts. Okay, so if we compare lean construction with that of the traditional systems, you can say that many of the disadvantages could be avoided when we use lean construction. Some statistics related to the current projects are provided here. I'm not going into detail about that, but the thing is that there are many issues like the final product, I mean, final building will not be uh, uh, what the client might have in mind, or the time cost or anything like that will be more than what was expected. So these could be avoided if you make use of lean construction. So in order to do or in order to what do you say make this lean construction possible, certain principles are there. Like even Toyota, like I mentioned, their primary concern was the customer or the markets they serve. They only asked for the requirements from the customer, then only they created the product. They wanted to make sure that their product meets the customer's requirement. So here in lean construction also, the basic principle should be the customer's point of view. So it's important to identify that, then only we can provide our client with the required models. And then the second thing is, like I mentioned, the elimination of waste. then we need to define the value stream. So value stream, like here, you guys have heard about different construction processes. But among those construction processes, you have to define the value stream. Value stream means that by doing those analysis, you will be able to identify which all processes are actually contributing value to your final project or final building. So by identifying that, or in order to identify that, we can also create a work process flow. And we will use a pull planning and scheduling. We'll discuss about pull planning later. And the last thing is to strive for the continuous improvement. Okay. So in order to achieve lean construction, we will be making use of some tools such as pull planning or last planner system, then IPD, which is integrated project delivery, then building information modeling, 5S, and Kaizen events. So we'll discuss about pull planning, IPD, 5S, and Kaizen in today's session. Building information modeling, since it's a vast area, it will be covered at the coming sessions. So about pull planning. So it's actually a concept of management. So it will be based on the downstream work. So let's say consider an example of doing a construction project. So here in the normal process, what happens is you will plan initially, right? They will be providing the plan initially, and what happens is for creating those plan, a project engineer or a particular person, or it will be involved, there will not be involvement of any other persons than the project management team. So there they will be giving the schedule of that work. So what happens is it will be having some troubles when you directly go to the construction process with that particular plan. So there, if you use this pull planning, what happens is there will be involvement of even the downstream workers. So he or she can contribute or suggest that this particular activity can be completed first in order to start the next activity. So he can give suggestions, and based on that, they will create certain plans. So for creating that, first they what do they is they will set a milestone of at what duration or at what date the particular project has to be completed, and the last process which has to be completed will be mentioned, and then they will work back from the backward. So that's what happens in pull planning. And the next thing is IPD or integrated project delivery. Here also it's similar to full planning. Here what happens is uh, they will integrate between the different stakeholders of the project. Like stakeholder means whoever is actually affected by the decisions that is being made on that project. For example, the client or the owner of the project, then the designer, contractor. So by involving all those persons, then and involving them in decision making can actually create a big difference. So by doing so, we will be able to create a project having maximum efficiency. So that's why integrated project delivery is actually better form of delivering, I mean, managing our project. So next is 5S. This is actually another concept which we have adopted from the Japanese world. So the 5S is actually a representation of five Japanese words, which are seiri, seiton, seiso, seikitsu, and shitsuke. So this 5S is not just, I'll try to explain it as simple as possible. So for that, just consider your study room, and let's say you are you have and okay, let me ask you a question. So how many of you have your rooms in a proper organized manner? So most of you might not have that much of an organization in your room. Okay, so even you can apply this 5S principle in your room. So consider a scenario where you receive, I mean, you receive a call from a person and you are supposed to write down something on a paper. So you look for your pen in your room and you can't find it on your table or somewhere. So you spend time looking for that. So if you have applied 5S in your room, then this won't be the scenario. You can find it as quick as 2 seconds. So in 5S, what happens is we will be sorting the things that has to be placed. So if you consider your room, what you can do is we can simply label the places at which different things has to be placed. For example, there will be place for your books to be placed or for your pen to be placed and so on. And in straightening, we will set that in order. In straightening, which means set in order. So in that process, we will keep it in the required place. And then the third step is systematic cleaning. In systematic cleaning or simply shining process, what you can do is we can clean the rest of your area and make sure that everything is in the right place. And in standardizing, you have to label each and everything properly, and then there won't be any confusion at what is placed in which place. So in standardizing or in labeling of your things, you can even think of an example as, I don't know how many of you have watched Big Bang Theory. In Big Bang Theory, the main character Sheldon, he used to do this stuff. He used to, label his stuff. Even his label marker has a label on it. So that's actually an example of 5S. So by doing so, I will show you in the next slide. Here you can see that this was the scenario before doing a 5S. So basically, you can apply this 5S in your workplace. So the extra time for looking for any manual or any tool can be avoided. So this will be the scenario once after you have applied your, applied this 5S. So everything will have specific space for them and it will be marked. And the next ideology is Kaizen. Kaizen is also a term from Japanese, which means change and good, which combined we can tell it as improvement. It became famous after Masaki Imai's book has been published. And here, let me ask you a question. So, in your opinion, which will cost more? Is continuous improvement will continuous improvement cost more or innovation cost more? Which will be costing more money? You can put your answers on the chat box. I will give you 30 seconds. Exactly, innovation. So in innovation, there is requirement for investing money in that. But in continuous improvement or in Kaizen, it's not like that. You will be continuously improving in a small step. It's a small step continual improvement. There you won't be getting drastic change after a day. But at the end of a certain period of time, you will reach the position which you was uh, uh, looking for. But in innovation, if the innovation fail, even the investment would be in vain. So here in continuous improvement, it's not like that. So the basic or the key features of Kaizen is incremental and continuous improvement, as I mentioned, and also the involvement of the entire workforce. So this is the cycle for or the Kaizen cycle. So here you can see that the starting is by identifying the waste. So in order to explain this, I'll just you can simply consider your mobile phone's operating system. Like you will constantly receive updates from your um, provider, right? There might be some sometimes it might be some major changes, sometimes it might be some minor changes. So anyway, you will constantly be getting those kind of what do you say updates. So there what happens is the company will identify the waste within there. In waste, what it means is the unnecessary things or non-value added things that is present in your system, and he will try to eliminate the unnecessary or non-value added things and plan the countermeasures. And after that, we have to check the reality check whether that change that we are planning could be done properly. If that could be done, we have to or he will change the mm, in this case he will change the softwares or some update, make some updates on the software. And if the trial runs were successful, that will be measured for the results. Okay, after verifying change, we should measure the results, and if it is okay, then it could be made as a standard, so that this could be done in this particular way, and the proper updated version of that particular software could be released. And yeah, obviously if you make some success, you can celebrate it, right? But it should not stop from this. You have to do this again. So this is actually a cycle. So this is in case of construction, you can analyze your different processes that is being involved in this construction process, and within that you can identify the waste, and you can think whether you can eliminate it or you can modify it in any way, and you can do the rest of this in a similar pattern. Okay, since it will cost you less, you can do it in a small period of time also. So this is actually what is meant by Kaizen cycle. Okay, so these are the things that is currently in the management side. So that's it for today. So if you have any doubt, we can have a question and answer section, and the agenda for tomorrow is digital construction. So if you have any doubt regarding lean concepts or um, the earlier topics such as eco industry or construction, normal construction industry, you can raise your concern in your chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, Aman.
Hello?
I think we can wind up for today, right?
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Okay. Okay, guys, thank you for participating, and all the participants, please fill up your feedback form. The feedback form has been dropped in the chat box earlier. It has been again dropped many times now. So please fill up the feedback form. And tomorrow we'll have the session at 3 p.m. Please join properly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you everyone. You have been a good crowd so far. So thank you.